What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here today to talk about The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 6, Don't Be Sea Salty. And for the record, the title of the episode was like really stupid. It was like in reference to Shereé eating a specific brand of chips. And it's like they could have done a better job in naming the episode. But at any rate, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll jump around to the recap. So as per usual, we start with a little mini montage. But the main standout thing was that Kenya and Marlo, they basically kind of want to do a little, something to surprise Shereé. They kind of want to do like a little single girls party and just kind of, just to lift up Shereé's spirits. Because it's only been 4 days since she was left out to dry in Philly, basically, because Tyrone never showed up. And then speaking of Shereé, we get a little check-in with her. And, you know, she's feeling kind of down. She's just hanging out at home in her pajamas, basically. She tells her daughter, Tiara, that she hasn't really left the house since she got back home because she went from New York to Philly, got her heart broken, and then went back down to Atlanta, and just basically she's been a little reclusive, just hanging out in her house, which I totally understand. And after a little check-in, we proceed to go to another scene with Kenya and Drew sitting down and meeting for lunch. And immediately they get in talking about how their relationship has come a long way since last year. Someone on Twitter basically said, like, what Sanya is doing to Drew this season is what Drew did to Kenya last season. And I'm like, I can see that. You know, I still think with Sanya it's a little weird because she's just attaching herself so hard to, like, Shereé specifically. But yeah, they share they're on good terms now. They go into talking a bit about the New York City trip that just happened, and Kenya shares that Brooklyn actually spent the night with Mark for the first time while they were up there. So Kenya basically stayed back in New York for like a couple extra days, and she's really excited about it. You know, she wasn't like super emotional, like, oh, my baby was away from me for the night, but she's kind of talking about how she wants Brooklyn to have a close relationship with Mark. She wants her to feel that love because Kenya didn't really feel that love from her mother. So, as we know, Kenya, her mom has never been a part of her life. She was raised by her paternal grandmother, and her father was in her life as well. But yeah, so that's a big reason why Kenya, she's like, I want my daughter to feel love from both of her parents, regardless of what I have to go through behind the scenes. So, that's Kenya's kind of perspective on that. And then, well, kind of on the subject of the NYC trip, Kenya kind of button heads with Ralph came up, and but Drew actually thanks Kenya for like basically sticking up for coming up to bat. Drew says that Kenya was basically in her mind, and she said everything that Drew had like been wanting to say herself.
I did appreciate you for speaking up because it was like we haven't even talked, and you were literally speaking what was in my mind.
Then they get the cast doing some shit talking. Kenya, she's kind of side-eyeing the trip in general because she claims that she didn't know it would be a couples trip, even though there was a clip of Kandi telling everyone, like, oh, you know, bring your date if you want to. But I guess Kandi didn't register, allegedly, that it was, like, a legit couples trip, you know what I mean? And then she's kind of like, and why do you want me to wear vibrating panties on other people's husbands, blah, 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 and the different remotes can control them, and she's like, oh, just a mess. And then Drew goes into shit talking Sanya a little bit. She shares that, like, you know, I was totally sideswiped. I was totally caught off guard by Sanya. Did I say Sanya earlier? I meant to say Sanya if I did. By Sanya basically not coming after her, but, like, addressing her issues with Drew in front of, like, the group of people. And then Drew was on to say that, like, oh, no, Sanya, she's not really a good friend. She's fake. She's not loyal. She doesn't have a mind of her own. Because she's very much giving, like, God, what's that? Like, flunky, you know what I mean? She's very much, like, just catering to Shereé and Kenya, if you will. We'll see later on. It's also Kandi. But Drew is kind of, like, side-eyeing Sanya for being like that. So, basically, Drew feels as though Sanya is kicking Drew to the curb and trying to align herself with these other people, which we will get into a little bit later. And then before Drew and Kenya part ways, Kenya brings up Sanya's upcoming MommiNation photo shoot. So apparently MommiNation is this, like, mom blog that Sanya launched. And I was kind of like puzzled because when Sanya was explaining it, she was like, yeah, after I had Deuce, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I need all the support I could get. And so she started a mom blog. And I'm like, well, girl, wouldn't you like be reading a mom blog? Like, if you needed help as a first-time mother, wouldn't you like be a reader for a blog? Like, why are you starting a blog? You know what I mean? I don't know, but I thought it was kind of weird. She was like, oh yeah, I needed help as well as a first-time mother. So I started this mom blog. And I was like, wouldn't you'd be a reader? Like, that'd be better. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's kind of I couldn't stop thinking about that aspect of it. Anyways, Kenya brings up how Sanya's having an upcoming photo shoot for MommiNation. And she's like, oh yeah, were you invited? And Drew's like, yeah, I was invited. And then I was disinvited. So evidently Sanya had invited Drew like a week or two ago to this event. And then like the day before, prior to this meetup between Drew and Kenya, I guess Sanya basically texted her like, hey, I don't think that it'd be best for you to go to this because I want to keep it professional. Yada, yada, yada. So Drew's kind of like, girl, okay. Like, girl, bye. And I just think that was kind of weird because, like, the issue came up because of you, Sanya. And now you're like, yeah, so because there's an issue between us, you don't go to this event. And it's like, the issue came up because of you. If you hadn't said something right there in that moment and made it this thing, there wouldn't be an issue. I don't know. Sanya's moving really, really weird to me. I don't know. I don't trust her. And then we immediately fast forward to Sanya's MommiNation photo shoot. She only invited Kandi and Kenya. Obviously, we know she invited Drew, but she rescinded that invitation. So now it's only Kandi and Kenya. And she expects them to model merchandise, like model hoodies specifically, for a Black Friday sale. So she only invited Kandi and Kenya, allegedly because she says that, oh yeah, so what Sanya says is, yeah, I would have invited everyone, but I only invited you two because I feel like I really bonded with you guys the most on the New York City trip. And I was like, okay, I could see her saying that with Kenya because, you know, they had that scene of them, like, going out and getting coffee and talking with each other, but it's like, huh? I don't know, it's kind of weird, but we're immediately there, and it's only Kandi and Kenya, and they're both kind of like, for the Black Friday shoot, so they're kind of like, what the fuck, girl? And again, Sanya didn't tell them beforehand they're going to be modeling. And when I tell you that I fucking hate surprises like that, it's like, tell me what's up beforehand, you know what I mean? Like, tell me what's happening, you know? But, so that's what's happening. And then, aside from doing the MommiNation photo shoot, she also begins sharing that she's planning a little Jamaican cooking event, if you will, like with her mom, basically showing all the girls how to cook traditional Jamaican foods and sharing my culture with you guys. That's what everyone says. There's like, let me share my culture with you guys. That's like the first, like, that's into the first, like, event, if you will. That's what Sanya wants to do. But this thing is not going to be at her house because Sanya still has, like, no fucking furniture in her house, apparently. And it's like, girl, did you, like, sell all your Austin furniture? Like, or maybe she kept it in the house and, like, rented the house out furnished. But, I don't know, it's like, it's like, you need to furnish that house, girl. Like, you're rich. Like, rich people having empty houses like that. You know what I mean? Like, girl, fill shit with furniture. You have money. You have money, honey. I could do that shit. I could have an empty ass room because I'm poor. But girl, you're a housewife. You're a housewife now, you know? And she says that she believes that at the event, she and Drew could kind of have a little one-on-one. She's like, yeah, we could step aside and have a conversation there. And it's kind of like, okay, whatever. And then before they part ways, Kenya fills in Kandi and Sanya about what went down with Shereé. Because remember, Kenya was like, talked to Shereé right after it went down. And I guess Shereé hasn't filled in everyone else yet. But at this point, it was all online. Like, I remember the blogs, like, circulating that picture of Shereé all sad, looking all done up. But yeah, while they're talking about it, Kandi proceeds to kind of talk about how she believes that Tyrone is a cheater, about how he didn't show up because he couldn't give an excuse to the lady who he's actually living with, because I guess Shereé is also, like, practicing abstinence with Tyrone at this point. She's like, we didn't have sex for all these years because he was behind bars where we were dating at first. And so now he's out. I don't want to just have sex with him right away. So all the other girls like, girl, he's probably cheating on her. And it's like, Kandi, it's funny you're talking about this because just an episode or two ago, I believe Marlo and Shereé, the little menaces, we'll get into that later, but they were saying that they thought that Todd could have been a little bit of a cheater, even though that storyline is so old. It came up seasons ago about Todd having that Marvin alter ego in New York, fucking bitches in New York under the alter ego Marvin. But anyway, so Kandi thinks Tyrone is being unfaithful to Shereé, which he very well might be, to be honest, considering the circumstances. And then we go to the Hamptons, and we see Marlo. She's prepping for Shereé's, her little cheer-up party, her little single girl party, if you will. And Marlo at her house, she's planning an in-home shopping experience. She, like, called a Fendi salesperson she has a connection with, and, like, they brought all kinds of merchandise there to her house, like an in-home shopping thing. And then she's also ordering all kinds of soul foods, and she's baking sweets, and she's also bringing a masseuse over. So she's planning this big grand time for her and the other single ladies, specifically her, Kenya, and Shereé. And it's all to make Shereé feel better about just her shit with Tyrone. And while Marlo's getting everything together, she proceeds to FaceTime Kenya, because Kenya's responsible for bringing the desserts, I believe. That's what Kenya's responsibility is. And when she FaceTimes her, she finds out that Kenya is sick in bed with a full face of makeup. And it's worth noting that earlier in the episode, during her sit-down with Drew specifically, Kenya mentioned that Brooklyn had, like, a little bit of a cough. And so it's not outside the realm of possibility that Kenya would have caught the cough, you know, from her daughter. And Kenya, she explains that she has her makeup done because she tried to come, but then she started feeling woozy and just started feeling ill, so she was like, I can't go. Marlo's kind of taken aback. She thinks that Kenya's lying, and so that's where Kenya's at. Well, excuse me, that's where Marlo's at with Kenya. And although Kenya's not going through, she is sending Drew in her place to basically go help prep everything. And then meanwhile, so it's kind of like a back and forth kind of thing between Marlo's place and then Sanya. So Sanya and her mother, they're out at the store doing some shopping for the Jamaican cooking experience. And Sanya's basically talking shit, and she's big mad because because Kenya told Sanya that Drew had said that, like, oh, Sanya doesn't have a mind of her own, she's not being a good friend, blah, blah, blah. And so Sanya's really upset about that. So that's how it starts. And then while on Sanya, she later proceeds to go on about to her mother about how she feels like Drew's starting more drama, making the situation bigger than it has to be, because essentially Drew declined to attend Sanya's Jamaican party. Because to Drew, in her defense, which I kind of get, Drew's kind of like, why the fuck are you disinviting me from this one event just to invite me to this other event, like, the next day? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's stupid. That's fake. And so Drew's kind of like, well, I mean, Sanya's like, oh, well, Drew's declining to come. I don't know why she's being so weird. She's making a problem. And she and her mom are both like, Drew don't want none of this. Drew doesn't want none of it. It's like, girls, shut up. It's like, I feel like they're trying to be Kandi and Mama Joy so fucking bad. Like, Sanya and her mother are so fucking thirsty to be Kandi and, like, the new era of Kandi and Mama Joyce. Because in the last recap, I mentioned, I was like, girl, this could be Kandi's last season. Sanya's trying to take that place. She's trying to be like, no, me and my mom are crazy. We're going to take this spot. And it's like, oh, it's not doing it. It's forced and phony. Anyway, speaking of Sanya and Drew, once Drew rolls up to Marlo's house, you know, with all the little baking supplies and all that shit, they begin talking about Sanya and everything, the situation. And Marlo clocks Sanya for being a clout chaser because once Drew begins talking about how, like, oh yeah, she only invited Kandi and Kenya to her MommiNation event, whatever. Marlo's like, well, is it because they have the most followers? And it's like, oh, girl, that's a good fucking point. She's doing it, like, strategically. It's not about, oh, I I feel like I bond with you on the trip. It's A, because Kandi and Kenya are big fish, you know. They've been in the game for a while. And it's also, they have the most followers, evidently. I didn't even think of that, to be honest.
Kenya and Kandi, is it because of followers? They have more publicity? Or...
Thank you. I have been a good friend, and I just feel like she did a flip.
So yeah, and then Marlo, she also shares later on that she's really warming up to Drew, because at this point, Drew and Shereé don't have the best relationship right now, but Drew's coming through to help set this party up to make Shereé feel better, and so Marlo's like, I like you, Drew. So that's a cute moment. Then we check in with Shereé real quick. She's in like these fabulous pajamas, and she's eating chips at the house, which is where the fucking episode got its name from, because she's like, oh, these sea salt chips are amazing. And apparently producers thought that was just genius, I guess. I hate the title of the episode. And she's at home being reclusive, and Marlo proceeds to call her, tells her to get dressed and to get in the car that's in front of her house, because Marlo sent a car over to pick Shereé up. And when Shereé gets, she's like, okay, and she gets dressed real quick, and the driver is like, okay, so Marlo's instructed me that I cannot drive until you put this blindfold on. So Shereé's like holding the blindfold because she doesn't want to fuck her lashes up. So it's really cute. It's a whole little date kind of vibe. And Marlo, she says, I'm doing what Tyrone should have done for Shereé. And you really see this really good side of Marlo. You know, she's really going all out for her homegirl, really trying to make her feel better. And this is what I love to see, you know, because we all knew Marlo was savage already. We all knew that she, you know, could fight, brought the fashions and shit from her time as a friend of. But now we're seeing this different side. First it was her being a muntie with the boys, and now it's her really being there for Shereé. And then, but don't get it twisted, Marlo still gives us the good old gutter shit a little bit later on. But seeing the side of her is really beautiful. Once Shereé rolls up, Marlo kicks Drew out the back door like a side chick. She's like, okay, this is for single girls only. Drew, you have to go. And she says, you know, Drew's married, even if it's just to Ralph, but it counts. So, and yeah, and well, when she brings Shereé in, they reference their infamous fight. Their
right, we got to do this. A little bit. Dude, no! I go way back. I mean, we've come a long way. Thank God I've grown. Thank God.
The girls are just chilling, enjoying the Hamptons experience, which consists of shopping and just eating, just having some good food and some good shopping experiences. So it's also funny to know. So Marlo brought the Fendi salesperson to her house for an in-home shopping experience. But she's still having Shereé pay for everything. And so Shereé's like, girl, I thought you'd at least buy me something. But I get it, because it's like, okay, girl, let's go shopping, you know, do that. But, like, you're going to pay for your own shit, though. Marlo should have fronted for, like, a little headscarf, maybe, you know? I don't know. I thought it was cute, though.
God, look how gorgeous she looks.
Yes. The gesture of bringing, you know, your sales guy over to the house was great.
You guys wrap it up. She'll give you her credit card and pack it up.
But bitch, I thought she was gonna gift me with something.
And then right afterwards, while they're eating, just chilling out, hanging out in the kitchen, Marlo gets real with Shereé. She points out how Shereé looked waiting on the street for Tyrone in fucking Philadelphia. She asks what Shereé would say to her daughters if they were in a similar situation of like, oh yeah, this guy stood me up in a strange city, but I still think I like him. I still think I love him. I want to give him another chance. And this really puts it in perspective for Shereé. She's like, I don't think my daughters would put up with that. And I think they're surprised that their mom is. And Marlo, she really gives some tough love. But she says what had to be said, and she said what had to be heard.
Left you sitting outside a f***ing restaurant like you were no one. People have sent me your picture. I can Google that.
Oh, I look sad as don't I?
Sad as I don't want to make you feel bad. I don't. God knows I don't. Just love yourself. What is it? You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's okay.
Even though it's tough love, Marlo is still really there for Shereé, and I think she's really doing what a good friend would do. You know, she does say, this is the one time I'll say this, and I won't judge you if you go back to it. And that's what someone really needs to hear in that moment. You know, and I think that's the perfect... So I think with your friends, obviously you have to be honest while still not, like... While still being empathetic and not trying to, like, push them away with certain things. But, like... So I really respect what Marlo did. You know, she's like... Girl, I'm gonna be fucking real with you. You look like this. This is what happened. Blah, 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 blah. This is the one time I'm gonna bring this up to you. And just know that you're worth it. But I will not judge you if you, like, go back with what you do. Or what you decide to do. And I thought that was really meaningful. You know, I don't know. I really respected Marlo for doing that. And then it's a new day, and we get to the final scene of the episode, which is Sanya's Jamaican event. Shereé arrives first, and then Kenya arrives a little bit afterwards. And Shereé, she kind of throws some shade at Kenya, because Kenya tells Sanya that, like, yeah, I'm a little sick still, but I had to come to this event, I had to be here for you. And Shereé's like, oh, well, it's good to know that Kenya's here for somebody. And it's like, girl, don't forget, Shereé, that when you were fucking in Philly trying to fucking hold your life together, you called Kenya. Kenya was the one that you called, and she gave you some good fucking advice. And so this whole, like, oh, you didn't come to my, like, I don't know, it seems dumb of Shereé, to be honest. Then Marlo proceeds to pull up. Marlo looks like Catwoman, low-key. She looks, she's just in these tights with these, like, heels. Like, she looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Then Kandi rolls in with Mama Joyce. And I'm like, oh, shit! Oh, my God. Mama Joyce is that girl. Like, anyways, everyone's all cooking. And the girls, I believe it's Kenya and Kandi, they've been asking about, like, the family dynamic and, like, Sanya's house. Because I guess the ladies asked, like, oh, yeah, so you guys don't live together, right? And they're like, oh, yeah. And Kandi asks Sanya's mother, I think her name's Sharon. She's like, oh, do you cook? Like, do you cook at the house? Are you cooking for the family? And Sanya's like, oh, well, she's supposed to. And they're kind of like, well, what do you mean by that? And then Sanya's mother responds, like, oh, we just got a kitchen. Like, because apparently they had to remodel, basically redo the whole kitchen, essentially. And then Marlo's like, oh, you guys got a fixer-upper, huh? And Sanya's like, no, it's not a fixer-upper. It's not a fixer-upper. She's like, okay, girls, we're here to cook. Let's cook. And it's like, Sanya doesn't want people to come to her house. She doesn't have furniture. She's reluctant to call her house a fixer-upper. It's given Teresa Giudice when she got mad at being called that her house was in foreclosure, when it, like, really was. Eventually, the girls kind of pivot to talking about Shereé's thing with Tyrone. That gets brought up. And Kenya reveals that she had already told Kandi about it. Because Shereé didn't tell Kandi about it directly yet, but Kenya's like, oh yeah, I told Kandi about it. And now Shereé's mad at Kandi for not telling Shereé that Kenya told her about the Tyrone thing. And Shereé's like, this is strike two, because remember, Kandi also didn't go to Shereé about the whole issue with Anthony. So Shereé's like, damn, Kandi, what kind of friendship are you? What kind of friend are you? And it's like, you're just in a friend group. You're in a friend group, and, like, word kind of travels, like, oh yeah, like, I told this friend one thing, and then that friend told this other friend, but it's fine because I would have told you that anyways. It's like, people talk. Like, if you guys are all in the same friend group, you know? So I don't know, I think Shereé is overreacting with that, to be quite honest with you. And then while she's on a roll, she's hyped up and shit, she was gonna call Kenya out for not showing up to her surprise party at Marlo's. And she words it, though, by saying, like, she feels that Kenya isn't supporting her. Even though, as mentioned, Shereé ran to Kenya for fucking support when she was in Philly looking stupid. So it's just like, you know, it's like, girl, what? I don't know. I think Shereé is just being a little extra. I keep getting Kenya and Kandi, but she and Kenya, they kind of go at it, and Mama Joyce shuts that shit down. She's like, stop it! Stop it! And she basically just says, like, okay, she apologized. What's the problem? Like, she shuts that shit down. And she also tells Shereé that she just needs to block Tyrone forever. Like, girl. And it's like, Mama Joyce, talk some fucking sense into her. Shereé and Marlo, they then proceed to respectively call out Kandi and Sanya. So Shereé's locked in on Kandi, and Marlo's locked in on Sanya. They just kind of talk shit for a little bit, and then they proceed to, like, go outside and continue talking shit. And while out there, when I tell you, Marlo read the fuck out of my mind. She reads Sanya down about how, you know, she's this ex-track star from fucking 15 years ago. She's trying to align herself with these popular girls, and she's clout chasing and thirsty and all this shit. And it's like, yes, Marlo, like, I support this message.
You don't feel that Sanya's like up their ass?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Sanya is like,
definitely-
bitch, Kandi is that bitch. Kandi got the followers. Sanya just give me like, bitch, I'm trying to promote MommiNation. I ain't been on the track in 50 years. I got 20 goddamn people living in this goddamn house.
People living in the house.
And while Marlo and Shereé are out there, they just go on a low roll. And what I mean is that Marlo just continues talking shit about the other people. And Shereé is just there, egging her on, eating up, seemingly co-signing all of it. You know, she's just giggling along with it. Marlo says that Kandi's a hoe who can't keep a rich guy. She says something about her pussy not being good enough to keep a rich man around. That's why she dates below her tax bracket.
Kandi is the money mom.
Yeah.
She got a whole team and a daddy daycare. She's a money MommiNation.
Oh, you're crazy.
First of all, Kandi was a damn hoe. She everybody for free.
Yeah.
That bitch was a hoe and that pussy wasn't good, and that's why you right here always got the date underneath your tax bracket, okay?
Preach.
And she also talks some shit about Kenya. She says that Kenya was a video hoe back in the day, and she acts like, I was Miss America, blah, blah, Miss USA, excuse me, blah, 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 but she's like, no, she's just a video hoe. And everyone on Twitter's eating Marlo up for this, like, now why the fuck is Marlo calling Kandi and Kenya hoes, blah, 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 and it's like, and people also just being nasty, like, oh, well, you're still a fucking prostitute, Marlo, and blah, blah, blah. It's funny of you to be saying that. And it's like, Marlo isn't saying anything that that Kandi and Kenya haven't said about her through their insinuation. And everyone's still saying, where does Marlo get her money? Where does she get her money? And it's like, this has been asked for, like, what, like 9-10 seasons now? It's like, it's tired. It's like, why? It's like, just get over it. You know what I mean? It's like, ugh. I don't know. It's just so... it reminds me of, like, so for instance, the other day, so I'm a writer, and so the other day I, like, was writing an article on someone, and they're currently an artist, and they're on all other shit. But at one point, they were a porn star. And I was like, I'm not gonna call, like, they've gone to do other shit. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, this ex-porn star. It's like, no, they're doing this other stuff. And it's like they're holding Marlo, even if Marlo was a sugar baby, a fucking escort, whatever, it's like, she's gone to be these other things. She's a reality star now. She's a businesswoman. And it's just, I don't know. It's very slut-shaming. I'm not really with it. You know, just like, talk shit about Marlo's character, but don't talk shit about, like, I don't know. I agree with that. What she's saying is low down and nasty, but the whole, like, thing, oh, well, you're a prostitute. It's like, girl, leave Marlo alone. Like, ugh. Again, talk shit about what she's saying, talk shit about her character, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Then when Marlo and Shereé get from the table, Marlo basically says, like, oh, I wish Drew were here. Like, I really wish Drew were here. And we cut to Drew walking down the street. And this is dramatic ass music, this dramatic entrance. Everyone's like, Drew's showing up! Because remember, Drew had told Sanya, no, I'm not showing up. We have too many issues. But now Drew is showing up, and she's gonna fuck shit up. Again, just full transparency. I didn't like Drew coming to this season, but my new enemy is Sanya. So I'm rooting for Drew a little bit in this showdown. I'm rooting for Drew. But anyways, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know if you're rooting for Drew, if you're rooting for Sanya. Tell me what you think. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.